Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined once again by Joe Merrick of Serebii.net to discuss Episode 4 of Pokémon Generations, The Lake of Rage. So Joe, what'd you think of the move to Johto?
I think that it's the obvious choice for Johto because, let's face it, Gold and Silver, their story, they didn't really have much of a story to it. And that part was the only story bit other than the radio tower being taken, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So, makes sense. And hey, we got an episode which actually has action and battles, unlike last week.
That is true. This episode seems to be dedicated to show just how much of a stone cold badass Dragonite is. I've never seen him depicted in this way. Dragonite's always typically shown as kind of derpy, kind of goofy, just kind of a lovable little dragon. In this, they're making sure to get those angry lines in and just showing how devastating he can be. Dragonite was taking no prisoners this time around.
Absolutely not. I mean, Dragonite is badass. It's got multi-scale. You can just wreck things with Dragonite in the games. Just people underestimate it. Mm-hmm. So having Lance destroy Team Rocket with it was pretty cool. Yeah,
it definitely is. And there was a lot of cool moments in this one beyond just the battles themselves and seeing just Dragonite wreck house. It made sense to have the battle short because obviously Team Rocket would not be able to stand up to Lance. It just makes sense to have him just wipe the floor with him. But there's also had something I really enjoyed, and I'm glad it really is fleshing out beyond the world, because you're always kind of worried about that after the first episode, and that's the fact that Ethan/Gold was shown during the episode. Not his face, of course, he didn't talk, but Ethan was there, obviously working with Lance. We're just seeing it from Lance's point of view.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit concerned that they would have Red in it, but having Gold there with his poker gear and everything, that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, it really did make it seem just as another section of the games, which I think is when this really shines, and the series really can do its own thing. And I realize now that when they're trying to truncate something into a short, something big into a short amount of time, like episodes 1 and 3, it doesn't quite work. But when they're telling its own self-contained story, like Looker and now Lance, I think it does work.
Yeah, I definitely think they're on something with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they just sort of take a quick look and get it all in there, and as much of it in there as they can, and it all works as kind of an entertaining thing, because just seeing Lance take on Team Rocket, rescuing the Electrode, and I gotta say, that's probably the cutest I've ever seen the Electrode. When they're sleeping and doing all that, they always have that huge smile on their face, but seeing them sort of wake up and all those different emotions on their faces, they're actually adorable.
Well, there was an episode back in the Hoenn saga where there was an Electro dressed up as a watermelon. That was pretty cute.
Nice. Let's talk about that battle with Team Rocket, and probably the thing most people are going to be talking about with this episode, their walk cycle.
Yeah, that was weird.
The one guy was walking at a 45-degree angle. His hips, he just sort of tilted over. I'm I know it's supposed to be an intimidating walk, but it's so weird that I just...
Yeah, that just didn't work for me. It's no. A standard walk would have been so much more sinister than that.
I mean, granted, we're not supposed to take Team Rocket seriously, especially in Gold and Silver. But, I mean, come on, there's 4 of them, and they're using 5 Pokemon against him, and they're doing this potentially badass walk up to him, and they just have the dumbest looks on their faces and the weirdest walk cycles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a good laugh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. That's for sure. And I did kind of get a big laugh out of the fact that Team Rocket was using their most obvious Pokemon. We got a Grimer, we got a Raticate, we got Magnemite, we got Golbat, and the only decent Pokemon in there that they maybe use sometimes is Houndoom. So...
yeah.
I was yep, that's Team Rocket, all right. But I'm pretty sure those Pokemon are dead. Because...
wow. Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Dragonite does his flamethrower on them, barbecues all of them, even Houndoom, which, okay. And then they're pretty much defeated. They're just knocked out. And then he, like, tail slams them and they go flying off the edge. And we have no idea how big that walkway is.
Yeah, that's true. That's like almost Star Wars style. Oh dear. Down a hole.
Just drop them off the pit, whatever. You know, that's what they get, I guess. I don't know. It's Pokemon, so I'm sure they're fine. But it is kind of funny to just see them like they're defeated enemies, but nope, get out of my way. And then we have Petrel showing up, showing that once again this is from the remake story. We saw that with the outfits of both Red and Blue in episode 3, then of course with Ethan for this episode.
Yeah.
Petrel, cinches it since he's an original character to the Heart Gold Soul Silver remakes. So it was kind of cool to see him pop up.
Yeah, and it's cool seeing him using the wheezing, because even though he didn't use one in the Rocket Hideout in Mahogany Town initially, I think he had coughing at least. But when you face him later on in the radio tower, he had coughing, and a wheezing. So I think it was a nice touch to show the wheezing at least.
Yeah, that's sort of his signature Pokemon. And it even makes sense to him to show up as he is, because, when he faces off against Ethan, he's dressed up like Giovanni, which would have been kind of funny to see. But, obviously this is Lance's point of view, and presumably he might be he's already been taken out by Ethan, because he's, said, the kid was a distraction.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty cool. The only curious omission from this, as far as, like, if we're going based on the Heart Gold story, where is Ariana?
Was she in the hideout?
I believe so.
Hang on, I can quickly check that. Luckily, there's a site for this.
Yes! Man, what is that site called again?
Yes, she was in there. But she was facing off against Gold or Ethan.
That is true, so it makes sense that...
And they separated, yeah.
Yeah. That would make sense for them to sort of split up, and then Ethan takes care of her, Lance does his thing, moves on, and does all that. So, yeah, that definitely works.
Yeah, I think it's very cohesive. Like you said, it's good when they're telling a story rather than just showing quick bits.
Mm.
And hopefully that's indicative of what we are going to see in future episodes with the other sinister organisations, as they've been calling them recently.
Yeah, that would make sense. And it makes sense to sort of show more of these organizations and, getting a bit more backstory to them, or at least more of a look at them. I'm excited to see what they do. Like, how are they going to handle Team Magma and Team Aqua, Plasma, and all of them? I mean, it'll be quite interesting to see. And, it all just kind of works out. Really, I don't have any major complaints with this one, other
than some iffy animation here and there.
Yeah, some very iffy animation, and it all kind of works. I mean, it's obviously it all emphasizes the power of the Pokemon, and Generations continues to be pretty good, is what I pretty much call all these episodes so far.
Yeah, they're a fantastic celebration. They're not trying to replace the anime, they're not trying to do things differently, they're just showing bits from the game which you haven't seen, which were hinted, which were referenced, and just show them don't want to say spectacularly after last week, because that was a bit but pretty well. And I'm really happy with this episode.
Yeah, I am too. I'm curious to see if we'll get that Gold versus Red battle, but I don't think it's going to happen, because...
No, we might see Red, like, just going up to Mount Silver or something like that, but I doubt we'd see the battle. I am a bit sad that the episodes didn't end with the Gyarados being there, and suddenly we just see, like, Gold/Ethan on a Lapras heading towards it.
That would be cool.
Be nice. But
yeah,
alas.
They also didn't use the method in the games where, oh no, we can't disconnect them, so we have to actually defeat all these Electrode.
Yeah.
Of course, that's just all done for pacing and whatnot, but...
Yeah, they've got to take creative liberties here and there, otherwise it'd probably be a bit boring. That's the same with the anime. People say it should be more like the games, but that would be boring if it was like a completely turn-based thing with just the game mechanic. Yeah,
it wouldn't quite work in the same way, but... we already know that the legendary dogs will show up, and some people say they're cats, but I'm pretty sure they're officially labeled as dogs, even though they do look like cats. But those Entei, Suicune, and Raikou, do you think their episode is going to be next time?
I'd imagine so, because it's Johto, and that's really one of the only other story elements that Gold and Silver had. I mean, I don't like to badmouth Gold and Silver, but they were a bit short on these things.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it just from a pure storytelling perspective, Gold and Silver are kind of the weakest. I mean, they're still great games, and they did a lot for the series, but as a storytelling bit, which is what Generations is focusing on, yeah, a bit weak.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if that is next week.
Yeah, get that out next week, and then just move on to Gen 3, where there are quite a bit of stories to tell. I mean, there's a lot of side characters in there that we could really focus on and highlight, so I'm interested.
And there's a lot of events which happen when the player's not there, like the opening of Seafloor Cavern and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's lots of material for Gen 3 and especially Gen 4, especially Gen 5 and Gen 6 to work with. So
yeah, I think they're going to get to those later ones quite a bit. I will make a prediction though, since focusing on since we're sticking in Johto and we're sticking with all that. Yusin will probably show it, be the main human character for the next episode.
That would make a lot of sense. That is essentially what Yusin's about the Suicune, and with that, Raikou and Entei. And he does appear at the Burnt Tower when they awaken.
Yep. So, yeah, like I said, I do consider this an improvement over last week's episode, and I hope to see more like this episode, where it's just sort of self-contained stories, not trying to cram in a bunch of things. Just, a short, simple story telling what this character was up to.
Yeah, I'd be very happy if most of them are like this in the future.
Alright, well I think that covers it for our Pokemon Generations discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain. And Joe, where can they find you at?
On Twitter at Joe Merrick or at Serebii.net, or on the website Serebii.net.
Awesome. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Pokemon and other things gaming too. Until next time, bye.